to start reading. So we're going to talk about metta today. Metta, M-E-T-T-A. And I'll put a slide up with that for you. I did it once in one of my intro classes when we had an 8-week instead of a 6-week. I slid it in there because it's such a powerful practice. I'm going to read to you first, to start off, a Buddhist story, the power of metta. You know, the Buddhist canon, they've got thousands of these stories, and they're all, who knows if they're true or not, but they all serve a great purpose. And this one's pretty nice. I like the way this one talks about metta. So, a story. It's said that the Buddha first taught metta to a group of 500 monks who went into a forest for their annual 3-month retreat. The forest was adjacent to a friendly village that kept their bowls filled with rice during that period. So the monks moved in and began practicing meditation. It's said that soon the forest spirits who lived there became fearful of the monks and felt put out of their home. So these spirits began to create frightening sounds and sights, hoping to make the monks leave the forest. The monks indeed became terrified, which broke their concentration and disrupted their mindfulness. Some even developed fever, pain, and dizziness in conjunction with the fear they were experiencing, and all of them felt it was impossible to continue practicing meditation there. So they went to where the Buddha was staying and related their tale, to which the Buddha responded, "My beloved monks, go back to the forest and practice your meditation there." The monks pleaded harder to not be sent back to that forest, again saying it was impossible to practice there. The Buddhist response to this was, "Dear monks, because you went there to practice meditation without a weapon of protection, you have encouraged many distractions and difficulties. This time, however, I will give you a true weapon of protection." It's said that the Buddha then offered them the metta teaching and practice, and out of their great respect for him, the monks didn't contradict his wishes, but instead went back to the forest, so armed with the metta teaching and practice. For a while, they continued to experience feelings of fear and anxiety, while at the same time, they diligently and virtuously practiced metta. Soon, the fearful sights and sounds vanished. And whereas the spirits had previously been hostile towards the monks, their anger and resentment disappeared when they began to feel the monks' metta. And in fact, feelings of respect, welcome, and reverence began to arise in the forest spirits. The inclination arose in them to provide an environment of safety for the monks and to protect them from danger, so that they could practice their meditation peacefully. After recovering, strengthening, and deepening their concentration and open-hearted presence through practicing metta, it is said that all 500 monks became fully enlightened beings during that rainy season retreat. A happy ending indeed. So 2 takeaways from this story. Number 1, here is yet another practice for us in the long buffet of meditation. Metta. And number 2, this particular practice is about protection. There's mindfulness, which is like Tylenol, and there's metta, which is like extra strength Tylenol. Like when you're walking down the street and it's high noon and the sun is out and the birds are chirping, you apply mindfulness to your walk. When it's like 9 p.m. and you have to walk the dog and it's dark and quiet and feeling a little unsafe, you apply Metta. So what is metta? Metta translates from the Pali language in different ways. It's defined as benevolence, friendship, kindness, love, although universal love. Most often it's translated into loving kindness. So metta and loving kindness are interchangeable in a lot of practice circles. I think metta is a good word for it because it's unique and doesn't carry baggage, right? Same with loving kindness. Doesn't carry any baggage. And I'll say that metta is a foreign concept in Western thinking, so it's good that we have a foreign word for it. So what is metta? It's an attitude, aside from being an extra strength Tylenol, it's an attitude. And it's an attitude of open-mindedness. It's an attitude of an open heart. And all attitudinal work takes practice. So this means you actually have to practice it. And the core of metta, the core of this practice, is the repetition of phrases. It's that simple, the repetition of phrases. So the phrases, I'll share them with you, and we send the energy behind these phrases, or sometimes we just send the phrases without any energy, depending on where we're at. And we direct them at ourselves, and we direct them at others. There are, just breaking it down further, and I'll put up a slide in a minute, there's 4 categories of the phrases. There's 4 things that we say, and there's 4 groups of people that we send this energy to. So the phrases that we repeat, the 4 categories in this order. Number 1, safety, wishes for safety. Number 2, wishes for mental well-being, which I like to simplify to happiness or contentment. Number 3, wishes of physical well-being, which I like to think of as health or strength, physical body strength. And number 4, ease. So, for instance, I'll give you 2 examples. So the categories are always the same, and they're always repeated in that order: safety, happiness, health, and ease. But the nature of the phrases, it varies. Different teachers have different preferences, and different students have different preferences. But I'll give you examples of a long version and a short version that are very popular and that I particularly like as well. So the long version, listen and you'll hear, may I be safe and free from harm. May I be happy and content. May I be healthy and strong. May I move through this day with mindfulness and ease. Okay, so that's a longer version. They can get even a little bit longer if you wish. Then a short version. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. And then, so that's the 4 phrases. Then you have the 4 recipients of the phrases. Who are you going to send these wishes to? Who is this energy for? Number 1, you. Number 2, a loved one. Number 3, a neutral person. And number 4, a difficult person. So you can see I put you in all caps, underline, and red. Why is you so important? An example, have you ever invited someone to dinner and been so busy making sure the food was perfect that you only realized when the doorbell rang that you still hadn't showered and you were still in your sweatpants? At that moment, your guests probably wished that you had taken care of you first too. But in all seriousness, the most important person in all of the work that we do in our practice is you. And it's a cliche, and I don't mean you go on a fabulous vacation to take care of you, although maybe that is part of taking care. But you must tend to yourself, to your inner experience, so that you can show up for others, whether it's your spouse or the cashier at the grocery store. It's like on the airplane when the oxygen masks come down, you put yours on first before you help anybody else. This practice is the same way when it comes to our lives. I think when you're showing up for other people, I think people generally don't need fancy cards, they don't need gifts, they don't need your witty jokes. They want to know that you're there, that you're there with them in the moment, that you're present, that you have an open heart, that you're relaxed, and you're available to hear, to listen. So taking care of you is number 1. Nothing else happens until that happens. And I don't mean that, you've got to figure out all your stuff before you can do anything. What I mean is in each moment, you're checking in, you're tending to your own heart at the same time that you're in relationship with the world around you. So how to actually practice metta? So we have these phrases, and we'll do after we're done here, we'll do a meditation together. But I want to talk about 2 ways that you can practice metta, the 2 sort of main ways. And the first way is what I'll call focused metta or concentrated metta. Okay, for this practice, you want to be in a quiet place. You want to be in a physical position that's very supportive to you. A quiet point in the day so that you can really gather your energy of concentration. You can relax and focus. Several years ago, I went to see a mindfulness-based therapist to sort through the death of my father, the loss of my job. And anyway, I was seeing her for a while, and after a while I noticed that whenever I came to her with like my irritations, my complaints, my hurts, she would prescribe this same medicine, metta, loving kindness. Just do it, Kylie. Just do it every day. So that was my introduction to metta, and being sort of a diligent student type person, I went and found a time of day when I'm usually kind of tired, and I'd lay down and I would do my metta phrases. And in this way of doing it, when you're very focused and concentrated, you bring up the phrases and you focus on what they mean to you. So you bring up images related to the phrases. You imagine yourself or the other person experiencing these wishes that you're repeating. So for instance, may I be safe and free from harm. Maybe your eyes are closed, but maybe you imagine the room that you're in right now and you're like, well, I'm actually safe right here. The doors are locked. I'm in a safe neighborhood. That's one thing. Or you imagine yourself crossing the street out in your neighborhood and the cars have all seen you and they've stopped and now you can go in safety across the street. So imagining that you're safe, connecting with that feeling in your body. Okay. I'll just say that during the first year when I was doing Metta, I often would cry during the practice. And I think it's because I felt such a huge relief that someone, me, was sending these simple wishes to me over and over again. And I think I felt how important it was to be safe, and how difficult my life would be if I wasn't safe. And so feelings of gratitude were generated inside of me. Or, to be happy, how, like, that's what matters in life. What am I running around for? So that's concentrated metta practice. It's practice of cycling through the phrases with yourself and others, envisioning, embodying that ambiance. The second way to practice metta is for when you're on the go, which right now, as spring is here and we're all excited and we're all doing a little too much, it's very, very helpful. Basically, metta on the go is a mantra practice. I recently went to a retreat, a week-long retreat online, which I do every January, although not online. And it turned out to be a metta retreat. It just worked with my calendar, and so I did it. And it was very eye-opening. It was very, very wonderful teachings, but if there's one thing I heard over and over and over from the teachers, repeat the phrases. Keep repeating the phrases. Keep repeating. So I said, this is a mantra practice. And I stuck with it. I did it because, again, it was non-refundable, and that's the kind of person I am too. So it was weird at first, right? I had this week set aside. I told my family, I won't be talking to you this week. I'm on retreat, which was interesting. And you find ways to work it into your life. You find ways to make it work. So, for instance, I found all kinds of ways. I knitted it into a scarf I'm making for my mom, the phrases. I chopped it into the vegetables I was making for dinner. May I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. I planted the phrases into the forest floor as I was out walking my dog. Each footstep or each few footsteps, a phrase. So this mantra, really, a wonderful way to really just bring your mind back. I've never done mantra practice before, so it was very eye-opening and a very energetic mantra practice. So it's not just Om or something. It's very, very meaningful. So as a result of all this rote repetition, a couple of really interesting things happened. Unexpected, I would say. The first thing is, and some of you might relate to this, when I walk in the forest now, I have protection. And I don't mean against the forest spirits in this case, but it's against my own guilty feelings. So I've had this dog and I've been walking her for 4 or 5 years, and I go out to the forest to clear my head. I want my alone time. I'm here with a lot of people and a lot of responsibilities, so I want this moment. But I'd often get waylaid, right? Because I'm a nice person, and a lot of people are out in the forest walking their dog, and we run into each other, and I smile because I like to smile. And then I get caught in conversation, which I enjoy. But when I would peel away, I would say, oh, what are you doing? This is your time. So a couple weeks after going on this retreat, I was out in the forest. I was just, during the retreat, I remember being out in the forest and I was practicing these phrases and I was generating all these wonderful feelings, and people would come by with their dogs and want to say hello, and I'd say hello very kindly, and we'd interact for just a few moments, and then I was in my head, I need to get back to my phrases, and I would walk on, and everything was okay. Nobody got mad. So I've never had that experience before in my life. It was very nourishing for me to experience that, and it was delightful. And it continues to be delightful. So it was just a tiny example of this protective. Now that was a very specific moment because I was actually practicing the phrases, and so I was actually engaged in doing something that afforded me what I actually wanted, which was to be by myself. But something else came up a couple of weeks after the retreat. And that was, so in my family, I'm not really comfortable saying I love you. And it's not that I don't love people a lot, but it's just not part of our family legacy. And if you met some of the characters in my family, you would understand. But a couple weeks after the retreat, I was dropping my son off at school. And as he was leaving, I said, "Love you." And I was shocked. I was like, did that just come out of my mouth? He knows I love him, but I don't shout it out in public. But I guess I do. One other example, and this I've noticed a few times, this is very strange, and it was very specific to after practicing 1 week of intense metta, as much as I could all day. I was in the Home Depot, and the man there, the young guy actually, he looked like he was 20, he helped me fix my squeegee. I had bought a squeegee and I brought it back because it wasn't working, and he just said, "Oh, well, you need to just put a screw right there." And I said, "Oh my God, I love you!" He looked happy with that response, and I was okay. But it was a spontaneous eruption of love. Anyway, I'll finish here by saying that in recent years, there's been a lot of research done about meditation and its benefits on our health, including this one, including metta. And the researchers have found that people who have a loving kindness, a metta practice, this important, special practice, actually get through ups and downs of life better than those who don't. Rick Hansen is one of the leading scientists in this field, and they say people with a metta practice are more content or happy or healthier. And that's so hopeful because it's such a simple practice, such nourishing. But I'm actually going to stop here.